Mr. President, an issue is going to come up next week, which is very important for every American family and business, and that's the issue of gasoline prices. I've been across my state, and as I mentioned on the floor earlier, my expert on gasoline prices is my wife. And when I speak to her in the morning in Springfield, Illinois, she'll tell me the latest in gasoline prices. Last week it was $4.20 a gallon. I don't know what it is this week. But she asked me, as everyone in Illinois must ask, what are you going to do about it? Well, it turns out that we are going to do something. You see, American families are being clobbered 3 times by high prices at gasoline stations. First, at the pump. Second, when we give $4 billion in subsidies every year in their tax code to the oil companies. And third, when we have to borrow the money from China to give to these oil companies and end up paying interest to China, ourselves, our children, our grandchildren. Paying 3 times for outrageous gasoline prices is an outrage itself. The big oil companies have made almost $1 trillion in profits over the last 10 years, over $35 billion in the first 3 months of this year. Some of these oil companies are breaking records on Wall Street for corporate profits. Yesterday, Senator Menendez introduced a bill, which I'm co-sponsoring, to end the special treatment and tax breaks given to the 5 largest oil companies in America. This would save Americans over $4 billion a year, and it's our goal to use that money to reduce our nation's deficit. Americans across the board agree it's time to end this corporate welfare for the big oil companies. In a recent poll, 3 out of 4 Americans support eliminating tax credits for the oil and gas industries to reduce the federal deficit. Actually, Congress has taken another step to help consumers bring prices under control at the gas pumps. Last year, Congress voted to reform the swipe fee that big banks get paid from merchants on debit card transactions. So every time you fill up the tank and swipe your debit card, you're paying on average 40 cents or more to the bank for the swiping of that card. What we've done is to say the Federal Reserve should establish a reasonable and proportional level for that fee. They think it should be much less than 40 cents. Well, the big banks and credit card companies are screaming bloody murder. The notion that the gas company, the convenience store, the retailer, the restaurant, the hotel would not have to pay these high swipe fees means a loss in profits to the big banks. But what it means to consumers is more competition in price and lower prices. Mr. President, I received a letter on Tuesday from 52 national, regional, and state trade associations representing virtually all the gas retailers in America. They made it clear that swipe fees inflate gasoline prices. That swipe fee, of course, is what's being paid to the credit card companies as well as to the banks. And that because the gas retailing industry is extremely competitive, lower swipe fees will produce savings that will be passed on to consumers. Now, the big banks and credit card companies are trying to stop this reform. You can understand it, because these credit card companies and big banks make over $1 billion a month on what they charge for our using a debit card. If you bring it down to the actual reasonable and proportional cost, they'll make less. Merchants get more. Consumers pay less. It's time to end these handouts to the big profitable oil companies. It's time to end the swipe fee that is benefiting the biggest banks in America as well as the credit card companies. It's time to finally focus on families and consumers across America who really have a challenge today because of this increase in cost.